Sweaty Opinions. Turn your television off. I'm Joey.
I'm Jordan. Snap your television off.
Snap your television right off.
It really won't actually be off completely, though. There is a large HAL eye watching you still.
Real quick. It's actually quicker to do that. And there it is. That fast.
There
It's gone.
You snip, you
and
snap,
it's back. You snap.
and it's gone.
And it's
back.
gone. And then it's back.
And then there's football.
And then there's football. That was
Then
so
the
fast.
football's
Let's look
gone.
at it one more time. Here's Drew Carey.
And now he's a football.
Obviously, we're not being very fair on this whole thing. I thought we were fair. I thought that our podcast the last episode was very fair. I don't know what else to...
You got worked up. Well, that's the thing. We both got worked up. Like, we both, like, tried... Like, I don't think it got, like everywhere was really negative. Just because, that seems to be the general consensus, bordering on fact, like cold hard
I think that's
fact.
absolutely the general consensus.
Listening to it, just to listen to it to get the final, sign off on the edit. I was like, no, this is like we're raising valid points. It's not out of fanboyism for Sony or for PC or something like that. It's just calling it like we see it. So yeah, I stand behind it. Yeah, behind it. I stand behind it even. A week plus later. So
yeah. So it's whatever. No, I totally. I felt good about it. I thought it was a good episode. I think everybody really appreciated how we came off. So it is what it is. I had a good time.
Yeah, absolutely.
We're here, but you're right. No, the general consensus, and I think we are really still feeling the fallout, so to speak, of all of that. Like, there's not a whole lot to talk about as far as video games this week, and I think that our podcast is obviously going to have an effect from that. I think that everyone is really just kind of standing there and accepting it for what it is. And there's people that I had spoken to and with about it, and a lot of people are like, well, what's the big deal? I don't really know. And then there's other people that those are mostly people who did not watch the conference, but the hardcore watchers of the conference really that I had spoken to were overall just disappointed. And I think that the coming, I feel like a lot of the new disappointments were kind of the after the fact articles that had come out. Like, you and I had touched on it a little bit last episode, but just really a lot of the sneaky stuff that wasn't really revealed too much, and about how the camera is now going to, has to be on all the time, and there's going to be a whole lot of...
The camera and the microphone, like that whole unit is running.
Yeah, it's always running. There's night vision. It can tell how many people you have in the room, and if you're running a movie, like, it's going to affect the charges. It's stuff like that I think...
Oh, the patent they applied for.
Yeah.
Like the visual DRM, where it's like, nope, too many people in the room.
Yeah.
Insert 20 more. But I mean, that's still it's just in the patent form right now, but still it's something to consider, because it's like, well, look where we were a decade ago versus where we are now as far as DRM and companies trying to have total control over the product. So, that really could clearly they wouldn't, patent it if they didn't have some kind of intent for it. So, yeah. Yeah, man. No, that's kind of been what's happening, where you get this trickle, and they're just terrible at staying on message too, and kind of all saying the same thing. Like even if it, and I'm just talking from a business strategy here. I'm not saying I want them to do that, because it's even more frustrating when somebody's like no comment, or they shut it down or whatever. But when they're just saying different things, kind of, and sort of contradictory stuff, and it's like, well, what? Does anyone know what's going on here? So that's a little...
Yeah,
I don't know.
I agree.
Yeah.
It's you don't really know what to believe or what is actually meant with a lot of it. And I think that, I really think that all of this could have been perceived and gone about a lot differently. You have stuff, from even the indie developers and their reactions to it. It's no one is impressed with what it's actually going to be, with what's actually happening with it. So, you see Notch posting on Twitter, their golden PS1 that Sony had sent them to kind of woo them a little bit. And then following that article, it's, well, I'm not impressed by Xbox, and I'm not impressed by this. And it's there's a lot of outspoken, sort of not negativity, but sort of honest opinions in the industry right now that are just, I think that all of it could have come about a lot differently. I think that if you would have, the strategy behind showing and getting excited about it being a television and all of that, I can see the point behind, it being the all-in-one media box, but I think that it should have been an afterthought, and I really think it had a huge impact on what what's going on right now and how everyone else is perceiving it.
Well, so. I mean, the thing is, just because, as you briefly touched on, we're kind of hitting a dead zone right now in between this last huge chunk of news and then E3 happening in a little bit. Like, everybody's kind of like, went silent because, they're getting ready for E3, where everybody's going to have a ton of reveals and, there's hands-on time with games and there's new footage, blah, 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 stuff like that. And, that's what Microsoft's doing too. And I think they're doing it that, like, they're kind of glad that they can kind of do it now. But that's actually kind of that's kind of like the bad thing that shot them in the foot. I think they really had like a Sony PS2 going into PS3 era level of like confidence and arrogance. And they're like, yep, we're going to get it right before E3. We're going to nail it. And then we got all that mind share. People are going to be like, PS4, what? And they're just going to go right to E3. But it bit them in the ass because they fumbled so hard, in many people's opinions. And now there's just this dead time where you have nothing else to talk about but the Xbox One reveal event. So I mean, that's kind of like the problem, that like there's no like, like you see in like the news where like some like politician does something crazy or something stupid or something evil, and then some natural disaster happens and they're like, oh, I was saved, like, I'm out of the news cycle. That's Microsoft's got that right now, but there's nothing else coming along until E3. So it's just a bunch of, micro analysis and just really going over everything. And that's their big problem, is that they're not staying on message. Like, could you right now explain to me their official position on used games? Like,
right, yeah.
Like you, just as somebody who's been following this, like I sure can't.
I can't. I don't know the full. All I know is that I've heard hundreds of different rumors where it's one where it's like, if you buy it and someone borrows it, it's a fucking nightmare to get it to even work. I don't know if there's going to be a lot of digital content, but nobody can really explain exactly what's going to happen except for what they heard. It's all hearsay, and I think that is the dangerous part of what's happening right now, because this is when it starts to spiral out of control and people start, not sure what they believe, not sure what's going on, and it's really. Look at how much time has gone by. I mean, we're sitting here a week later, and it's every single day, the top of the news on any sort of video game website, everything. It's all about that system. So, I mean, maybe to a degree, that's it could have been that. No, I guess there's no such thing as bad press to a degree. Everyone's talking about it, but I think that. Yeah. I think it's going to be interesting. I think that because they're doing a little like mini press conference right at the beginning of E3, like before E3, right? So I don't know what that even means, or what is that going to be the Monday before E3?
I don't know,
because E3 is Tuesday through Thursday, so it's I remember. Well, that's the other thing. I heard originally that it was going to be the day before E3, and then I heard that it was going to be the first thing at E3. So I don't know, but I already heard that. I've heard that the first title's Mirror's Edge 2, and it's going to be exclusive. So
really,
there's box art that has surfaced for it.
I saw that like on Amazon or whatever. Yeah.
So who knows? That could mean a million things, but. Right now, I think that's kind of why a lot of the news sites don't have a lot to report on, because a lot of it is speculation. Everything is going to be speculation until E3. So it's kind of where it's at, I guess.
But I mean, that's the thing, that they're kind of not helping the speculation machine die, because I mean, like, that's the thing, like with used games, it's like, does the person, like, if you're going to let someone borrow it, not even buy a used game, like, never mind like that whole tree of like asterisks and like footnotes and parentheses, and all these like catches, like, never mind trying to trade your game in. What if you want to let your friend borrow it? Do they pay a rental fee? Do they have to buy it, outright? Like, do you have to have your account at their, house? Like, so, like it's just ridiculous, and they're not helping. Because here's the thing, even if it's bad news, like, of course you don't want to have to tell people, no, it's not backwards compatible, because everybody's just going to like get out their, pitchforks and their torches. Mm-hmm. But like, just come out with the facts. Like, if somebody asks you a question, you don't have to answer everything. Like, if you're going to answer something, say the same thing to everyone, because it might be what they don't want to hear, but at least that's what it is. And there's no chance for people to further get their hopes up or get angry at another deception or something like that. Yeah. Like the backwards compatibility thing. Like, there's like, well, we're not planning on doing it. And even though that's totally off message with their whole one box to do everything. So it's like, well, here's one box, but now keep your 360 and that'll be like, another box, but this is the one box now, but I mean, if you want to play your whole catalog of games, keep this sub box. So it's like the Xbox One with a little like star behind it. And so like there's stuff like that. There's the whole like, wait, hey, is it going to work without the Kinect? And they're like, well, magical experience might not be as magical without the Kinect. So I was like, well, wait, what does that mean? Does that mean it physically will not turn on, or you're going to severely limit its functionality? And like, they're like, well, magical. Some people are like, well, it's not going to turn on. Other people, Microsoft, are like doing the PR, well, we've designed a really innovative magical experience and we feel that you'd enjoy it the most with Kinect 2. And it's like, come on, like, just
give me a fucking straight answer. Is really
get
what it comes
everybody,
out to.
Get everybody in one of your huge conference rooms and give them the things to say. So it's just been more of that because people don't have anything else to talk about in the video game news world, and they're not helping because they're doing it. They're giving people slightly, deviating answers from, the official script. And it's just like, well, what do you expect? I mean, how is this a large corporation unveiling some huge product? Like, how is this not better organized? But
well, I think, touching on the backwards compatibility a little bit, I think that it's something that, like, they're onto something in the fact that, like, no one is really cares as much as they used to. But at the same time, there's the flip side where it's like, I think the gaming is at a whole new level than what it was last time. You know what I mean? I think that online play and video games in general are just higher and, and more popular than they've been ever. I just think that's the facts behind it. And I think that, there are titles that you're not going to see backwards compatible on the console, but then you start running into the millions of questions where it's like, well, what titles should be, what should be and what shouldn't be, and then if you have one and you don't do the other, why don't you just make the whole thing work? And it's because it's expensive. I guarantee that there's got to be a plan behind. Well, there's a definite plan as to why the things aren't backwards compatible. So it's called digital content. They want to re-release all the stuff and do it again and put the stuff out over and over again. So I mean, look at I'm doing it. The Metal Gear Solid collection, I pre-ordered it. It's going to be $50. That's going to be the third time I've bought Metal Gear Solid 1. What's going to happen when the next console comes out and they put out the new Metal Gear game? Is it going to be another collection with 5 games? Is it going to be just like every time they put out a Harry Potter movie, they put out a collection of all the ones that came out before it? You know what I mean? So it's very interesting, but I think that it's hard when you have some heavy-hitting titles. The one I'm talking about is Grand Theft Auto, how they're not going to have any sort of compatibility. And the game will only have been out for a month. So I think that that's very, very interesting to me. And I don't think that there's any announcements for it as of yet on the next gen consoles to have a Grand Theft Auto. In fact, I don't think it's going to happen.
I would bet that that Grand Theft Auto 5 is current gen.
Yeah.
I mean, short of PC gets you around that whole next gen, current gen thing. Where
it's actually not even coming out on PC.
Wait, really?
At this point, yeah. I don't think that there's an official release for it on PC. From what I understand, there is an online petition to get it to come out on PC. I don't know. Now, granted, I could be going off of like 10 things that I've seen and heard, but I'm fairly certain that it's only going to be on PlayStation and PS3. Can you confirm that on your thing there?
On my computer?
Yeah, on your computer.
Well, see, that's the thing. Like, there will probably be like a bunch of like, all right, GTA 5. I'm gonna talk this into
just type GTA 5 PC.
GTA 5 PC. Oh, I know, but I can't talk and type at the same time, like unless I'm saying the same thing because GTA 5 PC petition release date. Wow. Well, yeah, like okay, just based on the past Grand Theft, like they've all eventually come out on PC.
Right.
That's what I'm hoping it is. Yeah. In that it's just going to hit console console first, but I mean, just based on like the mod community of GTA 4, like I don't know, I don't know how big that demographic is, but I don't think you want to piss them off. And also, you get some really cool stuff, and Rockstar's always been a really cool company. Anyways, okay, so there's an IT Wire article, itwire.com. I've never heard of that, but GTA 5 to hit PCs too.
Okay.
And then there's GTA 5 n4g.com. Yeah. Well, I mean,
nothing here nor there, but
exactly. I really hope that is the case.
I don't think any of it's set in stone regardless, but I think that basically the point I'm trying to make is that basically right now it's PS3 and Xbox. Exactly. There's no 360. There's no plans for it to come out on the next gen. Don't think for a second that I believe that it won't come out on the next gen, because it will. They'll put out a game of the year and then they'll slide it over and everybody will go fuck it, or they'll put something else out, because I mean, they did it with the other Grand Theft Autos with the regular Xbox. They were all on PS2, and then the Xbox came out and they re-released them, and they were polished up and cleaned up, and and then they did this. They've done it before with all the PSP titles. They put them on console. So I absolutely think it'll eventually be there, but it's going to be a while before it happens. We're talking like a year or so, maybe at least. So
maybe, I don't know. Like I think that like GTA 5 and Rockstar is kind of like this unique situation where there's just that much interest in it, and it's going to be that huge of a game where they can get away with like, nope, we're picking this time to release it, and we're sticking with what our plan was, and people are going to buy it. We are very confident that we are going to sell a ton of these, and it's also kind of the thing of like, you have a huge install base of PS3s and Xbox 360s, so it's like, I don't know if Rockstar is a public company or not. I'm pretty sure they are, but that would be the safer bet anyways, to like not launch on two new consoles with two very small user bases. So it's really not that crazy of a concept. If anything, it kind of makes more sense. But
this is my biggest concern with it, is that it is going to be basically the last title out the door for. Well, I mean, I don't want to say that, because we don't know what
it's going to be one of the last. Clearly,
we don't know what the development plans are for 360 after the one is out, and honestly, like, I think sales are going to dictate that as well. But Sony has been good about keeping their consoles alive for an extended period of time after the next gen comes on. So I don't think
we've already. Sorry,
no, it's okay. Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, we've got confirmation that games like Destiny are going to be current gen and next
gen.
So, I mean, clearly there's plans to give it some more legs.
Yeah, absolutely. But one of the original last heavy hitting titles out the door is going to be Grand Theft Auto. So with that in mind, I think that it speaks on a much higher ground when it comes to what these console makers are going to be allowed to do and what they're going to get away with. When you have, when it comes to backwards compatibility, and I think all of this is kind of like goes full circle. When it comes to backwards compatibility, when 360 came out, Halo 2 was still available to be played on Xbox Live, and you could play it on your 360, and you could play it with original Xbox users as well. The reasoning for that is because there was no fucking games worth playing on the 360. You had Call of Duty, and Condemned was great. You had, don't get me wrong, there were some games, but you had about 4 or 5 good games.
As well,
you had 4 or 5 games. So take that for what it is. And servers being pulled down more and more and more now for a lot of these titles. We have games. This is the first console that. Well, I mean, I guess that's not really fair, because Xbox Live and all that hasn't been around long. But with this console, and maybe it's because it's been extended a little bit, we've had titles that are on this generation that the servers are down already. And I think that speaks volumes when you have a game like Grand Theft Auto that is going to come out on 360 in September, and you have the possibility of a brand new console in November, for all intents and purposes. What is going to happen to a heavy-hitting title like Grand Theft Auto? What does that mean? I think it puts Microsoft in a very interesting, well, not just Microsoft, but Sony as well, in a very interesting position to where it's, how much support are we going to give our previous consoles before we have to back Rockstar into a corner to make them release it on the next console, or how long are we going to do it for, and then either just let it die, or we're going to take the servers away and just take that away altogether. So it's a very interesting game that is being played, in my opinion. I think it's going to be interesting to see how it turns out.
Well, I mean, there's already kind of precedent for it in with the PlayStation 2. I mean, I kind of think of the 360 as this generation's PlayStation 2. That's the one that won, quote unquote. I guess basically winning equals install base. The PS2 really stuck around because I mean, like you had people who were like holdouts and like the stalwarts.
Like
you had lower income. Yeah. You had like lower income families or gamers or whatever kind of sticking with like the PlayStation 2, people who just either couldn't upgrade or didn't want to upgrade right away and stuff like that. So, I mean, the PlayStation 2 had a lot of legs, and I think that's kind of what we're going to see with the 360. And, backwards compatibility basically helps the early adopter gamer who also wants to have it all and is also on kind of a budget. So, like a very contradictory kind of demographic where it's like, they want to buy this new piece of technology as soon as they can, but it's kind of contingent on them getting some kind of credit for trading in a system towards it. So it's very contradictory, and I've been there. Like that's been me here or there, but like as of right now, at this point in my life, I'm fine with hanging on to a console and, just like saving up a little bit more money, maybe not, eating out a bunch, maybe, like cutting some corners here or there, not paying my bills for a few months or whatever,
not paying, my car
defaulting
insurance.
on my student loans. Yeah, exactly. And, getting the money from some other, very, very easy to get from place.
Yeah.
No, but I mean, so like that's really who it's kind of affecting because, Microsoft did that weird, what you're talking about before with from Xbox. I almost called it Xbox One. From the first Xbox to Xbox 360, they did that. Okay, here's the list of games we're going to get backwards compatible. And, like, of course the Halo games work. And, like, the rule of thumb was it was the most popular games, but there are also some weird ones in there. And there was, like, fan outcry for games they wanted. There was always, like, petitions, again, for, like, games that were a little bit more obscure, a little bit lower selling. And, like, number one, you've got such a huge catalog of 360 games. Like, again, that's how it's kind of like this generation's PlayStation 2, where there's just a ton of games for it. The architecture is completely different, just from an engineering standpoint, like a hardware standpoint. I'm pretty sure it's impossible. It's got to be something like what Sony talked about a little bit, but hasn't really revealed, like their whole like cloud like based system or whatever. And so basically where it's almost like emulation and it's like run off of servers or something like that, like it's streamed. And I don't see that being a free service. So like, just keep your 360. But that's the thing. I mean, like, I don't really care, but I'm not everyone. I'm sure there's people out there who really want to just play everything on one console. They want to like get their new games. They want to buy Call of Duty Ghosts like as soon as possible. Like there's like probably like 1% of people out there who are going to buy Call of Duty Ghosts on current gen just long enough to play it, but like it's probably going to come out like before the Xbox One's out, and they're going to get it for current gen and then want to like just continue it on to like next gen and have 2 copies of it. And that's the thing, we don't know about like cross compatibility with different versions of the games.
Right.
Like that's the thing, like we kind of had that in the last console's launch cycle with some actually Activision games, ironically with like Gun and Tony Hawk's, I think it was American Wasteland was that one, where there was an Xbox version and there was an Xbox 360 version. Those really weren't multiplayer games though. There was like split screen on Tony Hawk, but I don't think it was live enabled. And I don't think they were cross platform. So like a lot of people play Call of Duty. Can Xbox 360 owners play against Xbox One owners and PS3 and PS4? And what about Destiny? So it's like nobody said anything about that yet, to my knowledge. So you've kind of got this fragmentation problem, anyways. Like, never mind people who want to do it economically. Like, I just want to play everything on one system. It's like, where are your friends going to be? Like, which system? Yeah, which generation are your friends going to be? Are they going to be current or next? Like,
Yeah,
it's yeah. So. I don't know, man. Like it's kind of weird, but we'll see. And again, they haven't been really super clear on it. That's kind of been the thing with Xbox. They've had I think Microsoft really wanted everyone to find something they loved about the Xbox One. ironically, the event turned out to give everybody something they could hate about the Xbox One. Like there was something there for everyone, just not in the way Microsoft planned. Like you can, like no matter what. Like, are you a frugal gamer? Are you like a cheap ass gamer? Are you a bleeding edge technology guy? Are you a core gamer? Or are you
There's
somebody
something for
who really hates
hate
DRM? Yep. Whatever your bag is, they got something for you. So, yep.
But yeah, well, I mean, we talked about it for about an hour and 45 minutes, and now we're here about another almost half hour in. So, I mean,
there you go.
It speaks for itself in many ways, but I think that, to touch on it a little bit about the backwards compatibility was certainly, it seems to be the thing, at least in my opinion, what seems to be lingering, which is interesting because I just read an article about how only 5% of gamers are care about backwards compatibility. So it's interesting that everyone has a problem with it, and it's also interesting what's being portrayed. Like, I mean, maybe that's true, maybe it's not. I don't know. I certainly don't know, but again, we'll see what happens. We got 2 weeks.
Maybe we'll find out at E3. Yeah, exactly.
So, yeah, but that's interesting, I guess.
All right.
Kind of talking about what we had done this weekend. What was yours? Anything exciting going on there for your Memorial Day?
Oh, well, we played Saturday. We played a show in Tyrone, PA, which is it's northeast ish or no, northwest-ish of State College. I don't know, but we played there before and it was like a surprisingly good time, and it was fun again this time. We sold our grilled cheese sandwiches again and we made a good bit of money. Oh, for those listeners who aren't aware, my
Freedom
band
sandwiches?
is also my band is also a food truck. We decided to start. We take a hot plate along with us, and we grill up some grilled cheese for kids because we noticed that actually it was in Tyrone the last time because it's a super small town with nothing to do. And we noticed kids at the show. It was a fire hall show. There was some gas station. I don't even know the name of the chain. It's something we don't have there down here. And kids were constantly going over there to grab drinks and food and stuff. It's like, why don't we just start, I don't know, making up, bring a grill, make some burgers and, stuff like that, sell soft drinks. And we're like, well, okay, what can we do, logistically that'll actually work and not, and so we did, let's do grilled cheese. Kids like grilled cheese. I like grilled cheese. You like grilled cheese. It's cheese. It's awesome. And kids get hot food, and it's actually worked. We've made way more money than we should on it, and we totally brought it back there, and we definitely made some more dollars on it. And it was a good fun time. Yeah.
That's
The
awesome.
show went well too. But yeah, other than that, man, it was just well, oh man, we could segue right now, but we still got to finish up. We are watching a TV show that we will eventually talk about here in the next few minutes. But we had a barbecue as well on Monday, yesterday, as of this recording. Got to drink some beers, heat up some meats. Yeah, man, it was good. It was good stuff.
That's
you
awesome.
have a cookout?
Yeah, I actually went to my buddy's house. It was nice.
Cool.
We had some delicious chicken, potato salad, all that stuff. It was great. Kind of just hung out. It was, it's just a day to relax. Really, I think that's what the whole purpose of it is.
Yeah.
So it was awesome. But yes,
Absolutely.
as you had mentioned, the girlfriend and I did a little bit of running around on Sunday, but then also we got home to watch a television show as well on the Netflix there. Arrested Development.
How I Met Your Mother season 4.
Close.
Arrested Development.
Close.
Sorry,
Yeah.
Arrested Development. Yeah, there you go, man.
So I think that this is the last portion of the show we're going to talk about here. Again, Jordan and I discussed before doing this that the show's not always going to be about games, especially in a week when it's incredibly light on the games and the news in general.
Yeah, exactly.
But,
it's perfect timing.
I think that this is an important topic for sure. How did you feel? Now, don't ruin it for me. I know you're a few episodes further along.
That's
but
all I was going to do. Damn.
Yeah, but what
Spoilers.
were your impressions and what do you think so far?
I like it. I've been enjoying it. There is definitely some weirdness. With tone. It doesn't feel like the same show at times. I'm not sure how I feel about it. Really seems like this whole season is going to be. It kind of clearly they're going for the Pulp Fiction style narrative where it's this disjointed, chronologically out of order but all connected narrative. And the show's done that before in the past, and I'm a fan of it. There's definitely moments where I'm like giddy with like joy because, you know, they're doing their trademark callbacks and in jokes and references and stuff like that. Sometimes it seems a little forced. I mean, it hits more than it misses for me though, as far as that, but really just like character turn. Like we can talk about the first episode. The first episode, Michael felt like that didn't really feel like Michael to me. That didn't really feel like a place Michael could ever get to, and like being like kind of like that oblivious, like with George Michael and the whole like voting thing and stuff like that. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, and honestly, like not to ruin it, but the last for those of you who haven't seen it, which you know you should do, the last portion of that scene with the voting, I felt like that was very uncharacteristic of the show. The slip that they zoom in on, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yep.
And I was just kind of like, wow, like it almost for a second you're like, wow, shit just got serious for a minute.
Yeah.
So you know, it's you're right though.
Yeah.
I agree with you completely. You know, it does hit more than it does miss for sure.
Yeah. So I mean, like, yeah. To sum up my impressions, because I could really just go on and on about like the minutia and like examples of kind of where I'm like, okay, this is awesome. This is classic Arrested Development, and then there's instances where it's like, I don't really know about this. Overall, I like it. I tried to keep my expectations grounded because I think that's a problem for a lot of people. I think that you can get caught up in the hyperbole and the hype and stuff like, and you know, I just really wanted more Arrested Development, and I'm getting that for the most part. So yeah, you know, like I said, you said you're what, 5 episodes in?
About
4,
5. I think
okay.
The Tobias episode was like, I'm trying to think. Actually, no, I might be like 6 because it was like Michael, then it was George Sr., then there was another Michael episode. Then there was
the third episode was Lindsay episode.
Yeah, Lindsay, and then another Michael, and then and then Tobias. So yeah, I think that's 5 episodes in. Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, we're about and I say we, me and my girlfriend, we're about 8 episodes in. So okay, cool. I can talk about this one episode. The episode, like the first 3-ish. Okay, dude. Also, sidebar here. Yeah. Sidebar. Portia de Rossi's face needs to stop. It needs to stop being that face. Because,
holy hell, dude!
What did she do?
I don't know what happened. There's times when she doesn't look as bad, but they're few and far between. Like Michelle and I said the same thing. We're like, what the fuck happened to you? Like I think it's the makeup. I don't know. There's a part where like some parts where her hair, like, and you look close, it's like parted funky, and you can see like her roots, and it almost looks like she is wearing a full-on wig, and her face.
Well, actually, she might have been wearing a wig because, you know, she cuts her hair, or like quote unquote cuts her hair. They might have just given her a long blonde wig. So
that could be true.
Very well could, but still, somebody needs to do better at putting a wig on her, like, if that's the case, because it's distracting. It's just, dude, and that's the thing. In some lighting, she looked she looked like the way she used to. In other lighting, she looked actually more like, what's her name? Christine Tyler, Ben Stiller's wife, basically. Sally Sitwell. She actually looks kind of like Christine Tyler sometimes, and sometimes Callista Flockhart, and other times like she looks like all these like weird, like, you know, weird looking women, or like women that did things to their face as well. Like I have no idea what's going on there, like nose job or collagen and or Botox and or
I think it's just really,
or she got the sampler. Like I don't know, dude.
I think it's that she's a little bit older now, and I think it has a lot to do with makeup. I mean, what else has she been doing besides that? Nothing. So I think that, you know, that's really been the role that people know her for. And you know, I mean, she's married to Ellen, and it's one of those things, like, not saying that she doesn't have to do anything, but you're married to Ellen, you know, like it's kind of like I haven't really seen her around at things. Now, forgive me if I'm wrong on that, but
you weren't a big Ally McBeal fan.
Yeah. So it's like, it's one of those things that it's like I love her on the show, and I get her character, but there are times when I look at her, I'm like, what in the fuck happened to you? And I think that it kind of brings home the whole joke part of her not being attractive in the with the guy, you know what I mean? It kind of brings the whole thing home. You're like, wow, it's kind of like real. So maybe, I don't know, maybe that was the point, but I don't know.
So. Yeah. That's a pretty long con. They're definitely going for the long con there, if that was the thing. But like, okay, so anyways, I digress. Tangent, sorry. But so those first few episodes, were like, okay, cool. Yeah, I'm having fun. I'm happy it's back, but something just feels weird. It wasn't until I forget which number it was, but it's the one that opens up with Henry Winkler and Scott Baio. And Henry Winkler's trying to
blah, blah, blah.
I think that's the same one where Michael brings the B team around, which is Warden Gentles and Carl Weathers. Like that's when it really it was a strong episode that really made it feel like I was watching Arrested Development again. And I mean it didn't hurt. Like Henry Winkler's like one of my favorite parts of the show. I absolutely love him, and it's so awesome that his son plays the young him. It's so cool. Yeah, so Scott Baio as Bob Loblaw lobbing law bombs was very, very awesome. And just what Henry Winkler, Barry Zuckerkorn's what he was getting tried for with him, showing him he was basically accused or being charged with breaking into a school to do God knows what. I just love how filthy he is, how much of a degenerate he is. So it didn't hurt that they were, starting off with one of my favorite characters, but it really started to catch its stride. But that's the thing, there's a few episodes later where they're kind of it kind of went back. So there's definitely hills and valleys. This is
Absolutely.
Not, I think at the bottom line for me personally is it's not a home run, but it's certainly not, along the lines to kind of segue and push the conversation along, not near where some people are kind of negatively viewing it as. Some people are pretty disappointed with it. So I'm nowhere near, that kind of opinion, but I know that it's definitely out there, and it's not necessarily a small percentage of people that are really disappointed with it.
Yeah. I mean, for me, it's, I had just gone through the series right before, it aired. And it's one of those things now that it's more Arrested Development. That's how I see it. It's good. I enjoy it, but you're right. There's hills and valleys. I understand that it's come out to mixed reviews, and I get that. A lot of people that I've spoken to were disappointed, but I mean, the reality of it is that, it's better than a lot of shit that's on television now. I mean, that's kind of what it comes down to. But I mean, if you look at the numbers of what it's done for Netflix, and it kind of segue into that a little bit. But I'll give you a little, nice. I'll give you a little more of how I feel. I really, really enjoy it so far. But you're right, there are definitely hills and valleys, and a couple parts that just don't feel like the show, kind of like you said. How did you feel about the cameos that you had seen?
Oh, I really liked them. I didn't feel that they were forced at all. I mean, again, not too much of a spoiler in that it's the first episode, but I'm partial to Workaholics anyway. I already like Workaholics, right. So it was awesome having those dudes in. Seeing people come back, it was really cool. Seeing some people have larger roles. To not really name names, and that's the thing. I don't think I've seen all the cameos yet, because I'm not through the season yet. But I mean, Kristen Wiig as a young Lucille Bluth, she
nails it. It's so good.
She does well. Yeah. Yes, indeed, she does. And Seth Rogen, he's there.
Yeah, he's there. It's funny enough. I think it's more funny that Seth Rogen is in it. That's just the whole thing. It's you're kind of this is just Seth Rogen. I mean, it's whatever. It's funny. It wasn't bad. But what was I going to say? I think that the whole thing behind this, for as much as how they talked about watching it all at once or not, I think that the reason why it doesn't feel like the show is as much is because I think, like you said, with the whole kind of doing the Pulp Fiction thing, I think the whole thing is really supposed to be in the vein of one episode. I think it's supposed to capture the entire series in one season, in the best Arrested Development episode in one long season. I think that's what they're going for. Was it the right decision? Yeah. Maybe not. But I think that
I would lean towards no.
I give them credit for trying something, with a medium such as Netflix, and I don't know. I'm happy with it. I think it's a cool thing that they did. So, but kind of going into the what were you going to say?
Oh no, I was just gonna try. I didn't know if we were ready to start talking about like mass consumption versus kind of rationed consumption. I think that because people who are kind of up up on the internet might have seen that Mitch Hurwitz kind of came out with it was quoted as saying, like, don't marathon this. You're going to enjoy it. You're going to enjoy it more if you kind of space it out. And I think that's his wording there is very important, because I don't think it's necessarily you're not going to get stuff like where it's going to seem like you're watching some art house film and like you're just like lost in the story. It's just, I think your brain eventually gets kind of like mushy when it comes to noticing either subconscious things, or like references and stuff like that. And I think that's what he's talking about. And I definitely started feeling that way because my girlfriend and I watched 6 episodes in one day, pretty much straight through. By about that 6th episode, I was like, I want to go do something else. Not necessarily because I was having a bad time.
Because we watched 5 and we started 6 and I was like, let's just go to bed.
Yeah,
let's watch it again later.
Yeah, so not only do I just want to not go like, okay, done. All right, what's next? Like, I don't want to, even though I totally do that with game like BioShock, but I was going to play through BioShock again, like right. I go, consume it as fast as I can, and then I'm like, okay, now time to play it on a harder difficulty and like take my time and, and like find everything. And like, people who marathon it, it's not like they can't ever watch it again. So, but I think, kind of savoring it almost, but at the same time, yeah, kind of spacing it out in that, like, you can really digest an episode, maybe watch it again if you want to, I mean, the guy created the series, and that's the thing, like Mitch Hurwitz isn't infallible to me. Like, if you remember, he did a lot of stuff that was really either mediocre or at the very best just misunderstood after Arrested Development. So the guy's not like batting 1,000, but he knows his series, and I actually think he has a point. And yeah, well, I mean, clearly it kind of worked that way for me because like around 6 episodes, I was like, all right, just we're gonna slow it down here and just kind of. I don't want to watch one a week, but I think, like going like, 2 episodes, 3 episodes, just, yeah, I mean, like, 5 days, 6 days in a row of like 2 to 3 episodes is that might kind of be where it's at. But, like I know people like Park, my one guitarist, he and his wife, they marathoned it, like they did it, and they seemed to walk away with a positive, it seemed like they enjoyed it. Yeah, I don't know. Like it's just kind of interesting because this is kind of a new problem. This is kind of a new phenomena of like seasons of things getting just dumped out, en masse. Well, like, do you know offhand, was House of Cards another one of the Netflix originals? Was that all at once, or was that okay?
Yeah, House of Cards was, and so was Hemlock Grove. They both came out with all the episodes at once.
That's right. Okay.
It's funny in all this talk about House of Cards, it's being compared to. To Arrested Development, Hemlock Grove really didn't get a whole lot of push.
Yeah.
And it kind of just got thrown up there, and really no one knows what it is.
I think it's because it sucks.
Yeah, it could be that.
They might have knew they had a stinker on their hands there.
So it could have been that, like, let's not get excited about this, especially because it was like, Arrested Development was knocking on the door. But that's the thing is, if that's the case, they had to be confident enough that they knew that Arrested Development would do well. And, clearly it did. Kind of to talk about a little bit about it, but so far it's considered a streaming success on Netflix. Basically, from what this article I read here is that they didn't release official data surrounding the number of viewers who decided to stream one or all 15 episodes. It says that they offer up a preliminary report of the impact of the show on overall Netflix traffic. According to the report, the first weekend was a bona fide success. For one DSL, this is off of Mashable, by the way. For one DSL network, 36% of Netflix traffic on Sunday was dedicated to at least part of an Arrested Development episode, compared to 11% for House of Cards on the same network. Early numbers indicated that 10% of viewers made it all the way through 15 of the episodes by Sunday evening, and Arrested Development accounted for 10% of all Netflix traffic for one university network. I think that's a success.
That's impressive, yeah.
Yeah, it said that Arrested Development appears to have had a direct impact on overall Netflix traffic. One cable provider showed Sunday traffic was up 10% compared to the previous Sunday, with an 8% increase in subscribers. It's more impressive when one considers that the show launched during a holiday weekend in the U.S. So I think that's another sort of part of it, But yeah, what does that mean for Netflix in the long run? I don't really know. The flip side of it is that today their stock dropped 6%. So I mean, it's definitely an interesting place to be. So,
well, that seems kind of weird to me though, because I mean, like, the money is kind of already there. Like they already paid for the series.
Yeah.
The money, Netflix already kind of ponied up the money. It's there and it's out, and it's the critical reaction seems to be middling, or at the very least not as much of like a landslide.
Yeah, it's not. Yeah, it's not good
people were
or
thinking
bad,
it was going to be at a positive. So like the shareholder kind of, or like that knee jerk reaction is based on quality and not necessarily like that's the thing. Like I'm sure Netflix got a lot, many more subscriptions or renewals or reactivations because of this, and people already kind of used the service to watch it. So it seems weird that there's that much of like a kind of like man, like everybody, women and children first kind of thing, off of the Netflix ship, so to speak. So like I don't know, and like that's the thing. Like House of Cards seemed to be well received and popular. A lot of people seem to watch it. Arrested Development seemed much more high profile, but I mean like that might be a little bit like kind of reactionary. I don't know, but then again, I'm not an analyst. I don't know much about economics, so
right.
what the hell do I know? But yeah, I mean, like that's kind of 6%. Like that's
Well, I think it's
crazy.
It's definitely a knee jerk thing. I think it's exactly what you said. Is that they were expecting it to be, a landslide, and the fact that it was like
a home run. Yeah,
we're not really sure. Either way, it's like, well, let's get rid of this quick, because what is that going to mean for them? But I think that, by the end of the week, you're going to see, I mean, we're talking about something that's only been out for 2 days. By the end of the week, I think they're going to have numbers and they're going to be impressive, and it's just going to lead to more series coming out on Netflix. I think it's going to do positive things for it. Will there be a movie?
Yeah.
Who knows?
Yeah.
I mean, that remains to be seen, and I can't really make that call until I watch the whole thing anyway. I need to know how it ends, but I know that that was always kind of in the cards. So
I mean, like that. Well, like that's the thing. I think that I know myself personally. Like like I said, there's been hills and valleys for me, but I'm definitely going to watch it. Like watch it through through the last episode, and I'm probably going to watch it again because that's how Arrested Development episodes are. Where look, I caught this thing now that just made me laugh, and like that's awesome that they started kind of like foreshadowing that, or it's cool that they kind of hinted at that, and or they're referencing this, or like look, there's like a dog on a doghouse in the background as George Michael does the the Charlie Brown thing, like it just cool stuff like that. So I'm gonna watch it again, and I think that I don't know, but like surely you feel similar.
Yeah,
no,
absolutely. I like it. I love the show. I'm a huge fan. I think that it's gonna be something that you return to. It's not. I mean, the reality of it is that the show was a home run before it was canceled, and that is why it came back. And there are shows that have cult followings that were not necessarily home runs that got canceled anyway. And I can tell you right now, Twin Peaks is one of them. I love Twin Peaks, and it's one of those things that the first season is amazing. Second season, it starts out okay. Turns into nonsense, and then David Lynch comes back to direct the final episode, makes it all worthwhile. And the whole trip is worth it, but they got canceled. They were gonna he was expecting, if you watch the special features, he was expecting a third season, and it got canceled. And I think that in the defense of Arrested Development, it's not something that ever got there. It was something that was awesome, and it went out with a bang. And now they're kind of picking up on how do you no one follows a killer, and I think that's kind of where they're at. So I think it's good. I enjoy it so far.
Yeah, exactly. And we'll definitely see how people react, over time after they've had some time to not just consume it super quick and, rewatch it and, see how it fits within kind of the whole catalog, like within like the canon, just like where they kind of enjoy. Like right now, I definitely enjoy the first 3 seasons more than this, but I mean, it's kind of unfair. You've had years to enjoy these things in a context of, we're never going to get any more. We need to savor this. Mm-hmm. And then this announcement comes, like, you're getting a whole new season, and people are just worked into a froth. And that's the other problem where, that we've mentioned, is that it had a lot of expectation to live up to. Like, it's pretty much almost the equivalent of releasing Half-Life 3. It's like, how eventually does something live up to that hype? Like, you've got to stay. So that's the thing. We don't know, like, the critics and the fans who've had negative reviews. We don't know, number one, if they just marathoned them or if they just watched them in a very quick fashion. 2, we don't know where their fanboyness was, where their level of excitement was, stuff like that. And, so like, context is important there. What were they, hardcore fans? Are they casual fans? Were they super excited? Were they being realistic? Yeah. So I think that we need a little bit more than 2-ish to 3 days to kind of really judge this thing. Yeah, exactly. So
no, I agree.
I've been having a good time.
Yeah. I think that
Netflix is cheap. I've gotten a lot of enjoyment from the service and this show. So
this is just a great bonus, So but I think that a lot of it too comes down to the people forget that they actually chose to elapse time for this. They didn't just pick it up right where it left off, and I think that has a lot to do with why it feels a certain way. So I don't know. Check it out, watch it for yourself. You'll see how it is, and you make your own assumptions. But it's definitely something that you should not skip. I wouldn't just skip it. It's awesome. So definitely worth getting Netflix and being a part of it. So.
And you guys should let us know what you think if you guys have been watching
Absolutely.
It so far. Yeah, do you agree with Joey and I, or are you a little bit sweatier in your opinion? I'm sorry, we're really.
Yep.
We got to make that a T-shirt or something. I'm going to work on some really dumb CBS style catchphrase.
We will.
With the title of our podcast, and it'll just sell like hotcakes. It'll be up on. Friggin' Snorg tees or something.
I made the joke today that I should have done marketing for the Samsung Galaxy S4. Because there was, there's so many things you can do with your eyes and with just not even touching the phone. How awesome it would have been to do a double promotion with Netflix and have George Sr. being like, no touching, just
no touching.
Yelling about a new phone.
There you go.
Could have been awesome.
Dude,
I could be rich.
You got your fingers
We're
on the
gonna delete
pulse,
that.
man.
I'm going to go back and erase it.
Give this man a job. Yeah, now they just got it for free.
So
because
that
totally
happens,
listening.
You heard it here first on the
exactly.
28th. But anyway, you got anything going on this weekend?
Oh yeah, dude. We are playing with Hive Smasher at the Depot in York. They're not super, but they're like a really good grindy, like hardcore-y, metal-y, angry band, and they're swinging down from Massachusetts.
Awesome.
And we're gonna be rocking out with those dudes. Another sweet band called Tiger Flowers that actually is from. I think they're on tour together, and it's actually going to be like a really decent, good show. So there's going to be some good drinks and good times to be had. So it's a show weekend for me. How about yourself, good sir?
Not a whole lot. Working, and there's a going away party for my buddy who's moving away, but that's pretty much it. Not a whole lot. I'm kind of trying to take it easy before the big E3
before
trip.
E3,
so
man.
We'll see what happens, but hit us up online. Thanks for listening. As always, I'm Joey.
And I'm Jordan.
And we'll see you soon. Thanks for listening to Sweaty Opinions. Subscribe on iTunes and follow us on Facebook at facebook.com/Sweaty Opinions. Email us your questions to sweatyopinions@gmail.com. Check out The Teeth, facebook.com/The Teeth Rot. Check out Pandas at facebook.com/Pandas Destroy.